Hello, hey, hey, hey. Got some greens going on. What an absolute beautiful night. Oh, amazing. What's going on, guys? I had a crazy workout. It was absolutely awesome. Mr. Gibson, how you doing, sir? Yes, I found myself at the Quarterway gym now. Yeah, and the postage stamp of a gym. All right. So I've got a curious thought process for you. So it's part of my fascination is in neurophysiology. And quite a few years ago, one of my mentors, a professor from Berkeley University, he said, David, when you're working with the human body, if anything is weird, hey Sherry, if you're working with anything you do with the body, if it's weird, it's neurological, right? So if you're dealing with a musculoskeletal issue, some sort of weird muscle dysfunction, it's neurological. But also, if we're dealing with any behavioral challenges, it's not situational. It's actually neurological. So you've probably heard this conversation before, where we started mapping, and we started doing redesigning neural maps. And neural maps are basically the patterns laid down in the brain over the course of time, based on the experiences we've had, and then the meanings we give those experiences, and we create these layers upon layers upon layers of maps. And the maps, an easy way to think about it, is a series of neurons that cluster together, and neurons that fire together wire together. So imagine these clusters, and each cluster in your brain is connected to a point in time in history, a belief, an idea, a situation. Vegan shake. And when our brain is looking to try to qualify and determine how to respond to a current event, what it has to do is actually go back into your history and pull up your memory and say, have we experienced this before? Have we heard this before? Have we felt this before? Have we seen this before? Have we smelt this before? Have we tasted this before? Right? Hey, Kelly. So that's really all we can do, right? So we like to think we're all that clever, but we live in reverse. We live our life in the rearview mirror, vast majority of time. So knowing that, little chia seed. So knowing that we live in reverse, we live in the rearview mirror, and when we collect new information, let's say a new book we're reading, and what are you saying, Ashley? And a little bit of ionics, a little adaptogen. So, okay, I'll stop beating around the bush. So we know that almost every single problem, 99.9% of the challenges we have, are simply caused by the perpetual rehashing of history, the consistent bringing up historical reference points, whether it's about relationships or about money, about health and wellness, right, body image. Regardless of what it is, we have no choice but to reference our history, because really that's just simply what the brain does, right? It takes incoming information, relates it to something you've already experienced, and comes up with an association or a meaning based on your memories. The only way to challenge that is actually to create mindfulness, and mindfulness is, of course, a state where I choose. There's a new chapter in my life that I choose to embrace. Okay, so by acknowledging what I choose to embrace and the experiences that I'm looking forward to having, and if I can see them, if I can feel them, if I can hear them, I can imagine, being there, and I create this mindful state, it'll create a really powerful contrast. So when I'm having things come at me, my brain actually now has a choice. It has a choice of what I'm imagining, or what I already have been through. And so I create that split state of my consciousness, the mindfulness and then the remembering, right? So mindfulness is what moves us forward. Remembering generally is what keeps us stuck for the most part. But here's this really cool thing that I'm going to start trying with a few people, right? I'm going to experiment on a few people's brains. and this is going to be kind of fun. So, well, fun for me, maybe not so fun for them. So I thought, if the vast majority of the human race is completely insane, right? Absolutely insane, just doing, doing insane things with their health, doing insane things with their finances, doing insane things to our environment, doing insane things to each other. And they're doing that because they're constantly rehashing their history. What if we could do this? What if we could seed our past with the hopes and dreams of the future? Okay, so hear that again. What if we could seed our past, right? Like planting seeds, seed our past with the hopes and dreams of our future. Right? Does that make sense? So, for example, so I have a financial goal this year, and I'm part of a mastermind group out of California. There's 29 of us, and we have a 7-figure goal, right? Which is $1 million. So I made that money, that amount of money over time, but never in 1 year. So, and there's no guarantee I'm going to hit it this year. However, it's a good goal, I think. So in order to have that goal, now part of my brain says, no, it's never going to happen, right? Because I have no reference point for generating that kind of revenue. I don't have that reference point for having, that sum of money. I mean, it would take about $8,000, what was it, $8,300 a day? I'm trying to remember the math now, I can't even remember. And we broke it down to I think it was like $8,000 a day I would have to make over the course of a year to generate $1 million, right? So it's already May, it's like May 7th, what have you. I'm not doing it currently. However, my history around money comes from generally, if I remember correctly, the various aspects of my experiences come from my father going through bankruptcy numerous times, and of course, and that was of course very devastating for the family at large. Business bankruptcy a couple times, personal bankruptcy, and so there's a lot of scarcity. And those of you who know kind of my history, I spent a lot of time kind of down and out. Some of it was by choice, some was by happenstance, but I've stretched a loaf of bread and a packet of cheese for a week waiting for a welfare check in the past. I've lived on the street in the past. So some of my history around money is around scarcity and fear, right? So even though my current place in life actually it's really quite a ways away from what I've experienced in the past, or miles away from it. There's that nagging fear because my brain is still referencing my history. Now, being mindful and being hyper aware of what's going inside of my head, I can actually observe and go, well, that's kind of insane because my life is actually pretty good. I have some money in the bank. I've got some money in some investments. I've got things I'm creating. So my life is okay. I'm probably going to do okay. And if I go completely flat broke, well, I'm going to couch surf on all your homes, right? So I know enough people around the planet. I get couch surf for the next year. So I think I'm pretty good. But however, so what I was playing around with the idea is that if we're accessing our history anyhow, because that's simply a neurological response, it's simply what the brain does with incoming information, incoming data, we're basing it or we're matching against our past to come up with a meaning. What if I sat down with my vision board and I set it with my goals for the year? So I got my $1 million goals, I got my fitness goals, I got my relationship goals. What if I really delineate them really well? What if I laid them out properly? And okay, I know specifically what I want financially. I know the steps I want to take to get it. I know what it looks like. I know what's going to do for me and my children. I know how many people I can help with the processes I'm building. I know specifically what I need to do, what I need to offer, the degree of contribution I need to put out there in order to get the money that I'm looking for, right? Because really, your degree of wealth is mainly based on how many people you serve. So how am I going to serve, and how many people do I need to serve in order to generate the kind of money that I want, that I think is important for me? And it's not about the money. It's just a milestone, right? It's more the psychology around it rather than the attainment. Yes, money is fine, but I'm not interested in a gold-plated Mercedes and a diamond in my tooth. That's not the point. It's not about the material aspect. There's a sense of security and accomplishment that comes from a financial milestone. So if I lay out the whole financial track, and I understand very specifically who I need to serve, how I need to serve, how many people I need to serve, and I lay that out properly for myself. And then I go into a meditative state, and I go back and I start looking at my history, and I look at the reference points that I say more frequently bring up when I'm when I'm feeling a bit insecure about finances. And I think about those reference points, and I think about when I was a kid in New Brunswick, just before we left to come out to British Columbia. And my father had to give up the home because the bank foreclosed on everybody in the East Coast. This is back in the 70s, so a depression hit the whole East Coast of Canada back in the 70s, and a lot of people got wiped out. So if I took those kind of tragic points in my history around money, about living on the street, about living on welfare, and all those areas where I really felt less than, I was very concerned, and I had no idea where money was coming from, and I let that part of my psychology know that Henderson, I have a really good life. I mean, it's just I'm not a millionaire, but neither am I poor, and I have a good life, and I work hard, and I contribute on a daily basis. And I made my life, I have a really extraordinary life with some amazing people in it. What if I actually took my financial goals, the blueprint of it, and I went back to every point in time in my history? And I could speak to the kid in grade 6 who had to leave school, had to quit school in grade 6 and come out to BC because our family lost everything. And what if I let him know? So instead of him having the shame and the embarrassment and the uncertainty about leaving his family, leaving all of his cousins, everybody he ever knew, and I said, hey, listen, you don't know me yet, but I'm your future self, and I have this goal, but I need your help. So here's the goal. Okay. So first of all, I want to let you know that you made it. Right? The life's okay, right? Yeah, there's some shitty stuff you went through, but man, you got a good life. You know some amazing people. You're doing some extraordinary things. You've traveled all over the world. You got a good life, right? So it says don't be afraid of the future. I want to let you know the future's fine, but I need your help, because what I need to be able to do is that every time I move towards this goal, I want you to help me. So when I'm referencing my goal of money, my goal of financial freedom, my goal of contribution through that whole path. If I go back and I take the ideas of my future goals and I go backwards and I imprint them in my psychology in those various landmarks of time that become that are currently perhaps a more negative and limiting part of my belief system, and I could get my historical psychology on board, supporting my goals. First of all, they have to know that life is rocking right now. Life is good. They have to know there's possibility, but then I also need their help. How powerful do you think you would move forward? And I think this would be an extraordinary thing. How powerful would you move forward if you could look forwards and backwards and in the present moment, and no matter where you looked, the goals were the same? Your history was on board, was supportive of you. Does that make sense? So why keep fighting with our past? Why keep saying the reason why I don't have the money is because yada, yada, yada. The reason why I'm still fat is because yada, yada, yada. The reason why my relationships never work out is because yada, 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 right? Instead of actually just simply saying, these are the landmarks, and we act as if they're completely immutable. We act and behave as if we cannot change them. But that's actually not true at all. We actually have massive control over it. So what if we actually took whatever our goals are, and then, of course, you have somebody guide you through the process, but go way, way back, and actually, again, start rebuilding from the very beginning, right? Your earliest memories of challenges and whatever particular path you're looking to follow and improve on in your current life, you just map it backwards. So you're basically, it's a time loop that no matter how you think about going forward, no matter where you go inside your mind, everybody's on board. Everybody's referencing you going forward. Gonna be a guinea pig, Ashley? All right, well, you have to sign a waiver. If you go insane, it's not my fault, right? So make sure your husband knows this as well. But isn't that kind of an extraordinary idea? I mean, it's not extraordinary because I thought it. I think it's extraordinary because nobody else has thought about it. Why wouldn't you? Why do we continuously believe that we have to fight our past? Why not get our past on board? Why not create advocates of all of the stupid shit that went on in our past, of all the insecure people? The problem is your past doesn't know that your life is good. Your past doesn't know that you have people that love you. Your past doesn't know that your kids are healthy. Your past doesn't know that you're a really good person. It doesn't know that because it's cut off from you. Does that make sense? So it's in this little bubble and it's completely cut off from you. And that's why I feel so shitty every time you start thinking and remembering, because it's completely cut off. It's still living as if. And the best way to think about it is that if you ever watch scary movies, right? And they talk about poltergeist. And what is a poltergeist? A poltergeist is a spirit with unfinished business, right? So they haven't left yet, haven't gone into whatever the next part of life is. So we have all these things that plague us are simply poltergeists. We haven't told them that life's okay. We haven't told them that we made it. We haven't told them they have people that love us. We haven't told them that there's money in the bank and there's food in the fridge. We just simply never let them know. So this is the process. The whole I Am project is that process about going back and rewriting it and actually letting our history know and mapping out the whole process so that when we thinking currently, we're thinking forward, thinking backwards, we have a governing philosophy and an ideology that actually controls all of it. So we become very present, very mindful, and very forward thinking in the way we govern our lives. So that's kind of an exciting piece. I'm just we have the date actually. June 15th is when the actual program launches online. So we have the virtual training platform. We have a counseling group that has joined the I Am project out of Vancouver. And they're going to be actually working with people that want more in-depth training. So people that are having some challenges, in any one of the 7 topics that we'll be covering from wellness to spirituality to family to relationships to contribution, career, and finances, right? So the 7 main topics. And so the I Am project really is it's really about clarifying and creating a real stable place so that you have congruency in your life, and then the path forward is actually, if people are really struggling, then of course the counseling group will be there to offer some assistance for people that need a little bit more help. But the videos, so we're shooting the videos here this week, so a bunch of the secondary videos will be done. So I got a little bit of work ahead of me. Really exciting part is a good friend of mine, of course, Diane. She came out with her daughter Crystal to the program here in April 14th, I believe, on a Saturday. And so they flew from Kansas City. So I was pretty excited to see people travel that distance for the program. And she happens to own a travel agency. So April and October of next year, and we're working on the brochure for it. We're going to actually have an I Am retreat in Mexico, probably beginning of April, and probably thinking around the 3rd week in October, somewhere around there. And so we'll be, so you can either come for 5 days or come for 7 days. So it's just, but it'll be a retreat. So all the I Am boards will be shipped down. So we'll have the I Am boards. Everybody will receive one, but we get to do it in a beautiful space, right? Beautiful space in Mexico. So if you have no travel plans for next year, then maybe that would be an awesome way to go travel. And it's so it's just really kind of exciting. And I'm currently doing a podcast tour, and actually just speaking with various individuals out there and being interviewed about the process. And we're getting a lot of excitement around it. So, it's exciting to see the clinical psychologists and some social workers and counselors come on board with the program. And now it's just a matter of actually just getting this freaking thing done, right? Get this thing done and get the rest of the work finished here in the next little bit. But the kind of the exciting thing, what are you saying here? Yeah, it's just, Crystal, I was so excited with how impactful it was for you. It's just, it's really quite extraordinary. We just keep fighting things so much when really we're just fighting ourselves. And it's not even a metaphor. It's actually, it's a real thing. So just being able to collapse those little pieces. And really, it's just actually going inside your brain, and it's not psychology, it's neurology, going inside your brain and just changing the way your brain stores and retrieves information. It's not horribly complicated, actually, at the end of the day. And the beautiful thing, Einstein said this once. He said it: if you can't explain something and make something simple, you don't understand it well enough. And the whole concept of neurology and psychology, neuropsychology, it's the idea is that it should be fairly simple, right? We should make this process as simple as possible, so it's attainable for everyone. And so what's going to be kind of beautiful is that people that we currently have something called personal development fatigue. And personal development fatigue simply means, of course, it's like chronic dieting or chronic, you're an exercise, you're an exercise, not junkie, but what we're looking for. You start and you stop. You see a program, oh, I love that program, P90X, I'll buy it, you don't do it. Right, next program comes up, you buy it, you don't do it. You got a treadmill you don't use, you got a gym membership you don't use, you got yoga pants you don't wear. And it's the same thing with diets, on and off a diet, on and off a diet, on and off a diet, personal development, this book, that book, this course, that course. And of course, we're not as far ahead as we should be. So the whole idea is that when we go through this program, go through this process, it will give you the tools to follow through on the diet that you've chosen. It'll give you the ease in which to go into the exercise program if you're choosing. The personal development books that you're currently reading but not doing, there's a difference between reading something and then actually utilizing material. It'll actually give you the ease in which to actually follow through on the suggestions made by the author. So it makes things very, very clear, which is kind of a beautiful part because it should be fairly simple. All right, so anyhow, I gotta have my shake because I'm shaking. I had a great workout. I feel phenomenal. It's absolutely beautiful night out here. Sun's glistening off the ocean, and the islands are all kind of shadowed. We live in such a beautiful space. But anyhow, guys, so as soon as we get the absolute dates, we'll get the PDF up for the retreat, and of course the website will be live June 15th, and it's going to be really, really quite extraordinary. If you have any questions about the program, or I do a little bit of private coaching, not a whole lot, but I do a little bit of it. So if but when the program launches June 15th, I probably won't be doing a whole lot of it because my focus will be mainly making that thing run and making sure everybody's looked after once they join the program online. Other than that, guys, I got to go have an incredible night. Thanks for hanging out, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this process, how this mechanical process of thought actually really profoundly changed the lives of lots of people. It's why I'm creating an online process so that it's highly accessible to everybody, no matter where they are in the world. And of course, I think Australia has been kind of harping at us to go out there, so we may look at, it won't be next year, but we'll probably look at 2020, assuming the planet's still here and we're all still good, go to Australia and spend some time out there actually seeding the program. And I think we'll be looking for advocates and contributors out in Australia as well. So we're looking for people that want to be that understand the process, that are currently in this industry, in the helping industry, and we're looking for people that we can actually partner up with in various countries to actually continue to pull this process forward and really kind of make this tool accessible to everyone. So, guys, have an incredible night. We'll catch you later next time, and enjoy this beautiful night. All right, bye.